Sameera, we talk of Poshan in a more all-encompassing sense. It's not just about food on the plate, but also about lifestyle, also about sleep, mental health. And so this conversation, when we're talking about embracing authenticity, I want to start with that point. It's not easy to be authentic, is it? I mean, we've all tried, and especially for someone like you to be on social media. Like Ridhima rightly said, that we all are all cropping our pictures, we're all glossing them up, and yet you're putting, yourself...
My worst one.
But yeah, your true, authentic pictures, it seems we are getting a peep into your life. Is it freeing? Is it something that gives you joy?
First of all, I think that we are our own worst critics. I think when you look in the mirror in the morning, there is nobody making you feel worse than yourself. So actually it starts with you. Now outside factors are constantly there. If you look at social media, I'm actually really nervous for what is going to represent for my son and my daughter, because it's showing something that's absolutely fake. And so I think that authenticity is liberating if you just allow it. But to allow it, you have to first not allow yourself to get affected by other people's opinions, and most importantly, what they think of you. And the biggest issue is we give too much power to everyone around us. It could be somebody trolling you behind a name that you don't even know actually who they are. And unfortunately, it can be your own friend, your own mother-in-law, and maybe sometimes your own parents or husband. Yeah. So I always say that authenticity for me started when I became a little selfish. And I decided that the power is mine. And the day I let go will be when you lead. And then other people say, oh my God, she's showing her pimples, she's showing her weight, she's showing flab, age, white hair, and she's confident. And confidence attracts people because they want it. And the interesting part is if you just lead that with authenticity, you just create a movement in itself.
I agree. I mean, you are inspiring so many of us, including me, to have confidence in my flaws. I mean, aging is great. Wrinkles are great, and I'm
You're
learning
not allowed to ask a lady her age, but the guys, I'm sure guys don't have that problem, right? Oh, what's your age? Oh, I'm 45. I'm aging like fine wine. When the guy gets white hair, he's so sexy. Oh my God, he's just looking so cute with that salt and pepper hair. A woman gets one white hair, bapre, she to freaks out.
Yeah.
If you ask a woman her age, it's like, it's so rude. The most interesting thing was my age was 3 or 4 years younger on Wikipedia. Because I lied so much about it, I have confused social media to begin with. All the algorithms said, my God, everywhere she's saying she's 3-4 years younger. So chalo, average it out and we'll keep her age young. Yeah. So I did the craziest thing when my daughter was born at 40. I went and I changed it. And I said, I'm 41 actually. I'm not 38. And when I changed it myself, it was such a moment because I said, I don't want to lie. Yeah. What's there why do you lie to begin with, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is liberating, and I think that there are so many people who think that calling you an auntie is insulting you, but now I want to take that as a badge of honor. Yeah, I'm an auntie, I'm a mother of 2. Sameera, now my question to you is, what has your relationship with food been like? Oh, and has that changed as your relationship with your body has evolved?
My relationship with food was terrible.
Really?
I was, and I still am, and I have to keep myself in check. How many of y'all here are emotional eaters?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, so few! I'm very impressed with y'all in the back, very confident people here. I am an emotional eater. When I'm sad, when I'm upset, when somebody said something, when my investments have gone down, when the stock markets have crashed, anything can send me and I start eating. I go for sugar and I go for carbs. I think that I began to understand that and to isolate it and to understand that relationship. And the minute you nip it in the bud and you understand your own triggers, then I think your relationship can change, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
But that being said, food and bodies for me are two completely different things, because today I'm a very healthy, balanced eater. But I still am far from that size that I was before I had kids. As an actress, I had a very small waist and I was very, slim. But I'm much more confident today than I was even when I was like super slim. And I realize it has nothing to do with your body. It is completely to do with your mind and your mental health. I can actually run more of I can swim more today. I'm much healthier. And just because you're thin and skinny doesn't mean you're healthy. That's a huge misconception.
And are you eating more healthy now?
Absolutely. I make choices.
Yeah.
And I always say food is not about, there's so many fad diets that come today. Intermittent fasting, ye mat karo, wo mat karo. If you look at reels, you get confused.
Yeah.
Eat carbs, don't eat carbs. Eat fat, don't eat fat. There's keto. There's I only go crazy.
Yeah.
But you have to figure out what works for you. But in particular with women and hormones, especially when you have a huge epidemic of PCOS, being anemic, because ma'am said it's such an issue. I have that issue. And I think all these come from hormonal imbalances and absolutely not having the right education growing up to eat right.
Yeah.
I say in schools we're sitting and teaching everything but the basics, which is maybe emotional health, emotional EQ.
Yeah.
Second is choosing the right foods and understanding food.
Yeah.
These are two major things for me that maybe should be put in as studies.
Yeah.
So girls can have and boys can have a better understanding.
Yeah.
So I think that body and weight and food are all combined, but still they're yet separate because different parts of your lives, different phases and different attitudes to it.
Absolutely. Coming to our diet as women, and like ma'am rightly said, that across, and especially I would say in our country, there are so many households, like she correctly said, that women eat the last and they end up eating the least. Even simple things like picking the last roti from the dabba, she'll keep the last roti for herself, the woman. There is this subconscious bias that has settled in our minds. Did you ever encounter this growing up? And how did you challenge these stereotypes?
So it's a conditioning. It's what we grow up with. Now my mother very proudly says, I used to wake up at 6 in the morning because I have to make Reddy Garu's idli and chai, and she used to not eat until he ate. Yeah. Today she is struggling. She's 78. She has umpteen issues. And the doctor only asked her one thing, is Mrs. Reddy, why didn't you take care of yourself? And sometimes it breaks my heart. She has tears in her eyes and she says, I was always worried about your dad and you. I put myself last. I didn't check if I had high diabetes or sugar. I didn't really take care of myself because I was always constantly keeping up with taking care of y'all. And that made a very big impact. When my mother herself told me, Sameera, don't make that mistake. Now, interestingly, as you all know, my mother-in-law, very special lady, when I got married, and I remember I immediately got pregnant, she said, you and me eat first. Not only me, matlab her and me, we eat before the children, and we eat before my husband, because we have to then handle the rest of the house. And she always told me, if you're well fed, if you take care of yourself, you'll be a happier mom, you'll be a happier person, and maybe, we'll make better choices rather than being cranky, snapping, and not only that, finally having bad health. So I actually learned that from my mother-in-law to begin with. Especially when I was breastfeeding, especially when I was pregnant, postpartum, it's very important because we associate as women that sacrificing and having this sense of duty makes us feel more wanted and loved. And everybody says, shabash. Such a job well done. And you're like, wah, wah. This whole false bravado and false, kind of connecting that kind of pride with that kind of sacrifice, that is the problem. Yeah. And that is all hands are clapping together for it. We need to break that. Yeah. Your husband, your mother-in-law, your family, as a society, and maybe in advertisements also. We need to stop applauding women being such sacrificial lambs, because we are then as young girls associating that for our future lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is so ingrained, and that chain is very, very important to break. You mentioned about postpartum depression, Sameera, and you have been very vocal, and thank you for doing that, because as a young mom, I've just delivered twins 9 months ago, and I've realized that the people closest to you also do not understand postpartum depression or blues, or and when I came back to work, people said, is it real? Is postpartum real? And yes, it is real. And only when I experienced that did I realize that how little we know of it, and how little conversation around it is. How was it navigating postpartum depression for you? And did all of this, lifestyle, food, sleep, right support play a role in you actually coming out of it?
So funnily enough, when a woman gets pregnant, the focus is completely on the woman for 9 months. Beta ye khao, laddu khao, ye karo, wo karo, take massages, all that. But funnily enough, when the baby comes out, the whole focus is on the baby. And I think, first of all, that itself is a little bit of a shocker. The hormones going for a toss is a bigger shocker. And nobody readies you for the sleepless nights, and also the changes in the relationship with your body, how you feel about yourself, and how your relationship with even your spouse changes. These are all very fine details that nobody talks about. Everyone says, "Kaun sa pram le liya, kaun sa hospital gaya, oh ho, acha C-section hua." Like, it's always about all the materialistic or the tick boxes, I say. But nobody really readies you for the emotional upheaval, and not all women have that backup of families that can protect you and help you. That being said, I was confused because I had everything and more. And I don't know what happened when my son was born. I couldn't feel good. I didn't understand it. I said, "Ye sophisticated log ke problems hai." My father always says, "Therapy sophisticated log ke liye hai. Ye sab bahut bakwas problems hai." My father's always, South Indian man, drilled it. So I also feel, no, this is wrong. I have to be strong. If my mother could do it, so can everybody. But I just didn't feel good. Now the shocking part is, I went to a doctor and I said, it's 3 months. When I breastfeed and when I'm around my husband and my child, I have weird thoughts. I'm not feeling good, something's wrong. Arey, ye kuch nahi hai. And when my own doctor is telling me to just keep quiet, then I really feel that there is a problem, because the education is not there yet. Interestingly enough, after 6 months, I picked myself up, I started reading about it, and then I realized, wait a minute, I need to step back and understand that it's okay and take a moment and head back into it with the right attitude, maybe a bit of therapy, maybe the right mindset, and then move slowly towards it. But that being said, not everybody has this luxury. And that is why the second time round, when I had my daughter, I was very vocal about it. In fact, social media pe everybody was like, oh, you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain way, you have to show the right side. I said, you know what, I'm going to tell you exactly how bad this is. I'm going to not cover my white hair. I'm going to talk about my stretch marks. I'm going to tell you my body has changed. I'm going to tell you emotionally and hormonally how difficult it's been. And the amount of women in this country that have just stood up and said, me too, I felt like that, I couldn't talk to anybody. This is the power of social media. People look at the bad parts. I look at the most incredible, powerful tool of how people can just communicate, become a strong community, and really understand each other's problems, and bindas, bravely talking about on the comments without batting an eyelid. And that's where postpartum has come. From everybody chup, from there to today, very vocalized and helping each other as a community. And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. A round of applause for it. Because, there is a sense of shame.
There's a sense of shame, yes.
Attached to, am I a bad mother?
Yeah.
If I'm not feeling good about it. Also, Sameera, now you call yourself messy mama, and while there are so many mothers on Instagram telling you exactly what to do and what is right, you're allowing yourself to make mistakes and really grow as a parent along with your children. What is it like, inculcating good habits good eating habits with your kids? What are the things that you make sure that you're putting on the table so that they're getting the right sort of training and making the right choices as they grow up as individuals?
So for this, I really have to thank my husband, who's a very big, he's into nutrition and fitness.
Okay.
And interestingly, he's the harsh one. Ye mat khao, wo mat khao, sugar's bad, this, that, that. And I try to balance it out with my messiness, where I say, okay, there's a way, which is make smarter choices.
Yeah.
So the balance of his and my attitude has actually worked. But within families, especially joint families, I've had many women say it is so hard to make certain nutritional choices for my child because my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, everybody in the house is doing their own number, and then the children don't know which way to go. So that being said, you have to have a spirit within the family to say these are wrong choices, and in the future the child's body will be compromised, especially with sugar and oil and the way we use it happily in our food. I think that somewhere now the movement has started, but more within, I think it has to be more at a core level. So like that, my husband is very particular. I go ahead with that, but I'm still a little easy because I do believe if you're very harsh and they go to school and they see a child eating a lollipop, then they have that, they have that reverse, which is I'm worried that they'll grow up and start eating everything inside. Yeah. So I'm more of the balancing factor. I don't mind a little bit here and there. And I really believe is if they watch us eat and have the right examples in front of us, it really works.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I want to understand, you mentioned your mother-in-law and you mentioned, the support that you have from your in-laws. This is for a lot of women, and this is again a stereotype that aurat ki dushman hai, and that the biggest pain point in the relationship is saas bahu, and we've also added fuel to fire with the sort of representations that we've had in cinema and our daily soaps. Meanwhile, what is happening on your social media is an antithesis of all of that. Did it take work to get there?
It still takes work. I fight with her all the time. You talk about nutrition, my mother-in-law loves fried food. Her favorite thing to give the kids are puri and shrikhand. And I freak out, and this usually happens when my husband is not in the house, imagine. So, we do have a share of, definitely Tashan is there. But I'll tell you what it is for me, is communicating and uplifting. I always say this, that women are usually like very Instagram about, oh, we really support each other. And I always say, do you really support each other? Now, I know that my mother-in-law is a single divorcee. And somewhere I felt it was my duty to just be her, be her extra, that little plus one which she felt a lack of. And instead of feeling like it was more of a bhoj, I decided to make it work for me. Also, interestingly enough, my husband didn't want anything to do with my social media. He's a very shy guy. And then when I looked to the left, I saw this other person sitting there, which was my mother-in-law. And I said, do you want to make a reel with me? And she said, okay. And that's how the journey started. Because in COVID, we were all thrown into one house. And I don't know if it happened to you all, but it was like a pressure cooker. Suddenly, my husband, who was out of the house from 9 to 8 in the evening, was in front of my face with rationing food and exhaustion, and we all were thrown into one house together. And I think that to relieve that stress, we started making funny comedy reels, and that seemed to really release a lot of tension in other women's minds. So I told my mother-in-law, let's change the conversation. Let's do it in a healthy way. Let's do it in a way which is, it doesn't have to be that bad, because we communicate and we have boundaries. So for example, I do believe that all guys, I'm not saying anything bad about you all, but you know how it is, mamas are like, there's always like mummy ne kaha or mummy ne bola, or I won't tell mummy. And a lot of guys do that. You all just hide. You all don't have confrontation in you all. And that is the biggest issue. Then the power grid changes. When you get married, then it's like, you can't go against my mom. I will not deal with it. You deal with it. And it's a brand new family, and it's a brand new, relationship. And then you find your way, and sometimes it's not the best. And that's what happened with Akshay also. He just threw me in the ring with my mother-in-law and he said, okay, find your way. I'm not getting into it. You have a problem with her entering the kitchen, you talk to her. So I spoke to her and she took it really badly. She took it really badly because I'm a very loud, strong alpha woman and so is she. But interestingly enough, the communication was important and I went at it and I told her, you tell me what you want, I'll walk the line with you. I don't like this, but I'll walk the line with you. And we communicate, we talk a lot, and now we have boundaries in the house, which is what has helped. But not all mom-in-laws are going to be like that. But if we can change it a little bit on Instagram, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is an inspiration, a start that if this family can function like this, perhaps we can talk to our mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws as well. But does the influence you, because I see both of you cook a lot of traditional meals, does that influence help, with bringing in the traditional values of cooking, traditional foods that you perhaps would not be able to bring in with the children? Does that help at all?
It does help a lot because she's Gujarati and she was married to a Maharashtrian and I am a South Indian Telugu girl who my father married a Kannadiga. So quite the cocktail here. So interestingly enough, between the four sides, we have so many dishes and we only get confused what to represent. And but she's very traditional and I'm not that traditional. So she brings that out of me and I really appreciate it. And what I really love is, again, the community of women and men who communicate through these recipes and then everybody puts their angle on it. And it's really sweet to see so much information being passed around and also the positivity and the happiness. And that's why maybe I'm all about happiness creation.
Yeah. As we would say that, if you were a reporter, your beat would be happiness. But coming to body positivity, and, I have seen so much commenting and trolling around anyone who puts anything around body positivity out in the social media, as if promoting body positivity is promoting obesity or, bad lifestyle choices. What do you say to that argument?
So, weirdly enough, I know that this is a very touchy topic and I don't think I can comment exactly on sizing because I've seen women who are, above the average weight being told for saying we are happy and okay with this. So I think I tread very carefully while saying something about this, but personally, and this is my opinion, as I said again earlier, I am far from that perfect body that I had. But today I am healthier. My cholesterol levels, my hormonal levels, everything. If you see my annual reports, it's shocking that it's better at 45 than it was at 35. Because at 25 to 35, I was starving myself. I was fat dieting. I was trying to do everything possible to lose weight, and my body was that time able to keep up with it because it was younger. So I had a lot of issues then. I had hormonal issues, I had prolactinoma, my TSH levels were off the charts. And when I changed and I understood that the only way was to make smarter choices, and maybe that's why I could have healthy births also at 36 and 41, I think that I've understood that it is really not about the size, it is about, let's say it's quality over really the quantity. That being said, being trolled has just come about because, again, most of us are fed ki this body type is perfect, this fairness is perfect, these light eyes are what men want, the long black hair, and we are all just confused because we all have been born differently, and then we're like, oh, do we not fit in? That means we're shit. So all these things intrinsically need to change. But the trolling will continue because as a country, my own dad, when I come back from a vacation tanned, he's like, arey, kuch kar lo, detanning kar lo. You know what I mean? It is something that's intrinsic in our society. We can't change it, and everybody will have their own vocal way of putting it out there. There are women who are excruciatingly thin who get trolled. So it's really not about being big or small. If people want to troll you just because you're just not this perfect shape, I say, what is the perfect shape? Your definition, like right now, I think I'm incredible, if I might say so.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
It's your definition.
Yeah.
Every definition has to be different.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, when you say that, I know that you truly believe that.
I do.
That you think you are incredible, and you know I agree. But there are so many of us women who feel that, of course she can say that. I mean, of course she's an actress, and of course she's beautiful. But us, we need to go on that fat diet. We need to look for fat loss drugs on the internet.
No, you
know.
don't.
But tell me, for you to reach this point, I mean, when you say that you were your thinnest, did you at that point feel, as incredible and beautiful?
Okay, I'm going to say this, I was going to shock your brains out. How much do you think I weigh? I know actress has ever done this. This is going to be a headline. Come on. What did you say? 75. Oh, you're so sweet. What did you say? Oh, wow. You're far off. I'm 88 kgs. I'm 88 because I come from an Andhra body of my dad who has my skinniest weight was 75 or 73 when I was in films. That being said, today I can do a headstand over here without any help. I couldn't even do that when I was like skinny. I can do any yoga pose. I'm mad flexible. I do incredible amounts of yoga. I'm very agile and nimble. And I promise you, it has nothing to do with my weight. It has to do with how on point I am and how dedicated I am and how my routine is what defines my mood. When I say incredible, I truly mean it. It has nothing to do with somebody telling me, oh, you're wearing an extra large. Oh, is this your real weight? Oh my God, you're 45 years old. I have the strength to tell you my age and my weight because I am absolutely comfortable with it. So again, I bring it to you that at this point, if you're going to be looking for weight loss drugs and you're going to be looking for easy ways out, this is your problem. The problem is just wanting immediate results. Even with guys, you'll go through this midlife crisis and suddenly you'll are buying motorcycles and running around and doing hazard things. I got a couple of smiles at the back. Everybody wants quick fixes from the outside. Quick fixes. And I always say, don't do that. Have a nice plan for a year or two. Change your food habits. Take small little doses every day of positivity because your mind is trained to think negative. I'm not good enough. This person is earning more than me. That guy just bought a BMW. This woman just lost. And this thing of, oh my God, you're looking so good, you've lost a lot of weight. It is not a compliment. Stop saying that. So when I say incredible, it's because I have value and I have a lot of pride and more than that, I have respect for the amount of time I have invested in myself. And this I want to tell everybody, please invest in yourself. We are here for such an incredible chat on such an amazing podium. And I can sit here and bullshit you all, but I'm not. I'm trying to tell you that seriously look inside, go and do your annual tests, figure out what needs to be fixed, and don't go for the quick fix.
Please underline. This is really, this is really in a sense the take back for me. Before we conclude, I have these, rapid fire questions without a hamper for you. Sameera, what would a quick meal, if you were hungry right now, what would a quick meal of choice be for you?
Nuts.
Nuts.
And don't mix nuts with anything sweet like kishmish and all because then you end up eating more. So I would say more than the sugar, you go for the nuts. Nuts on its own are best soaked the night before, but definitely a handful of nuts or a fruit.
Okay.
And again, it depends which fruit. You don't go for a banana because it's pretty high in sugar. You go for an apple, you go for an orange.
Okay. Do you do cheat meals at all? And if yes, then what would the cheat meal be?
I think first of all, cheating never happens for me after 7 o'clock in the evening because I believe that's when your body slows down. So pretty much if I cheat, like sometimes if I see my husband or somebody eating a cheesecake and I really want it, I'll keep a piece and I'll have it for breakfast. So it depends on the timing.
Yeah.
It depends on the timing. I choose all my cheat moments at lunch.
Okay.
Never dinner.
Never dinner. Do you order out, and what do you love ordering?
I don't order out because I love cooking. Love. That being said, if I order out, maybe it's pizza for the kids because
Yeah.
making that is hard.
Yeah.
But we make some pretty cool food at home, which I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah.
So I'm not much of a, sorry Swiggy and Zomato, I'm not adding to your stock value.
Okay, and the last one, are there any healthy kitchen swaps that you have incorporated at?
So I think prepping is very important, and I have the luxury of having a cook at home. So every day some kind of pulse is always soaked and kept
Okay.
ready. So for example, to give the children some kind of a chart, it's always mixed. It's always somewhere nuts, pulses, and beans. Somewhere the prep is very important.
Like a sprout salad.
Sprout, a kabuli chana, black-eyed peas, even just rajma. But every second day, there is always some protein that's soaked and kept. So because it's soaked and kept, like a housewife, you have to use it because you can't waste it.
Yeah.
So the prep is very important. Or like a hummus, which is very easy to make at home. You just make a batch of hummus and you use it for the week. You always have stuff that's handy, because the biggest thing we do is excuses.
Yeah.
Oh, samne tha. No, walk away, take a moment, take a deep breath, ask yourself, do you really need that? And then go inside and try to take a healthier, but have that prep
Yeah.
of something that's just ready.
Yeah.
Especially if you live alone, and I know it's hard, you can still make prep meals or have even frozen, prep sort of proteins in your freezer that you can just take, defrost and cook.
And the children, they don't grab a chip packet or they
No,
stick to your...
they actually, so my kids, funnily enough, so they're very into cooking with us. So my son also, like for example, he will pluck bimlis from the tree, and he loves making pickle.
Oh.
And now the neighbors also come asking for his pickle. So he's very, very enthusiastic about cooking with us.
Yeah.
And I've done that from childhood. I
Yeah.
have asked them to choose carefully and cook with me. And instead of just saying, Acha, the cook will make it, they have to go in there and ask why. The other day also he asked me, why are we eating pancakes with millet? What's so great? And this happened about 6 months ago, because he went to his friend's house and of course he ate maida wala pancake, which tasted mind-blowing. And he came back and he said, this has a weird aftertaste.
Yeah.
And then I explained to him the difference between maida and millet. And I explained to him what is the difference of, how it's going to help him in the body. So instead of telling a child, don't eat this, I have taught them to ask why we are trying. And it's not easy, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
But in the long run, now he thinks, he would be better on this podium rather than me, because now he feels he knows a lot, and now he gives gyan to everybody else, which is also actually quite bad.
No, but this is education. Yeah, but I don't have the last one on my list, but I'm sitting here looking at your gorgeous hair, and I'm losing hair postpartum. You have to tell us a tip for what are you eating, what are you doing for great hair and skin?
I mean, honestly, this is it's genetics. I think it comes from my side of the family, but so does diabetes and thick specs. I'm wearing lenses right now. Not everything is great, but I think that interestingly enough, because I've had a weight problem all my life since childhood. I came from a family with 2 supermodel skinny sisters.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to really be careful, because I just went on my father's side of the family, which is tall, big, broad girl. So interesting enough, for my teens, I think that having nuts and pulses, and again, proteins, even for the veggies, I'm not talking about the non-veg, I'm talking about, beans and stuff. I think all this has helped with growth, especially soaking it the night before. It is never a day that I've gone without having my badam soaked in the morning. And when my daughter and my son were barely 9 months old, I started incorporating crushed, soaked nuts in their diet, and pretty much a lot of healthy stuff. So Naira actually snacks on cheese, olives, and nuts.
Fancy.
Yeah, it's not fancy. She just wants it because she saw me eating it. And interestingly enough, it's better than her going and saying, give me a burger or like a lollipop.
Yeah.
She'll actually go to the fridge and she'll take an olive, or she'll take a walnut.
Yeah.
So it's really how you get that early on in their diets.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And that helps with hair.
That helps.
Because a lot of people ask me about my daughter's hair also, and I say, look, the only thing I've done is nuts
Yeah.
is a very big thing in the house.
Yeah, Yeah, I think small changes go a long way. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this very, very interesting
I
conversation.
hope this was interesting because I mean I didn't want everyone to just be like, oh my god, you know, like pa, pa, pa.
Yep.
I really feel I would really want you all to feel good about yourselves. It's not easy at any age. And it's like, you know, people tell me, oh, you should go to colleges and speak. I'm like, forget about that. I was 40, 50 year and 30-year-olds, I think, also need it. Because we have so much pressure to wake up every day and perform. And that performance takes a toll on your mental health and your physical health. So if there's any better a time, it's now. It's now is the time to get up and take care of yourself. And you owe it to yourself.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much, Sameera, and a round of applause, please, for Sameera Reddy for being so honest, candid, and not withholding anything from her age to her weight, and all the secrets for the wonderful, impeccable beauty that she is. Thank you so much once again, Sameera Reddy.
Thank you so much.